What once used to be looked down upon as a frivolous pastime has become the lifeline connecting so many different individuals in the modern age. Technology and social media has become the tools we use for work, play, relaxation, and practically everything else. It's now our window to the world, and when we use these tools the right way, we can learn to grow and remain connected with our friends and family. I really wanted to talk to some friends who use tech and social media in their current jobs. My good friend since high school, Deanna Lazaro, is a mental health care professional, and her husband, Philippe Lazaro, works as a creative director of the nonprofit Plant with Purpose. He also hosts the Grassroots podcast, which is really well done and really interesting to listen to, so you should check that out. They're parents, or new parents, to a really cute new baby boy, and they took time out of their busy day to chat with me. How is everything? How are you guys?
Good. So I'm Deanna Lazaro. First and foremost, friend of Jasmine since high school. Go Golden Hawks at Bakersfield, California. And so I think she invited me to the podcast for the mental health side of things. I am an associate social worker working towards my LCSW. And I provide mental health services for a co-occurring program, meaning those with substance use and mental health. So I can speak volumes to that.
Yeah, and I'm Philippe, married to Deanna, and I do communications and creative marketing for an organization called Plant with Purpose. And so we're a nonprofit that works internationally in 8 different countries, in communities that have really extreme levels of poverty, that really connects to the health of their ecosystems. And so what we do is we try and help people address both their environmental problems and their economic needs through healing their land, planting trees, practicing regenerative farming, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, so it's perfect for what I wanted to talk about today.
Not the right married couple.
Yeah, because they're very specific to what I wanted to talk about. And like kind of going off of that, like you mentioned what you do with Plant with Purpose, like, working on whole ecology side of things and fitting in environmentalism with that. And I kind of I actually had a conversation with a couple other people about ways that you can start at home, with your own garden and thinking a little bit more eco-friendly and using those, methods that are, a little bit more cost friendly, especially right now when we may not be able to go to a grocery store as, often as we need to. Like, I guess what I'm asking is, what are some of your tips for starting off during this crazy time? Like, what should we be doing?
Oh, man. So there's a lot. And honestly, I often don't recommend any one specific thing, because I think your best starting point varies a lot from person to person. There's definitely some things I'm a big proponent of. I think tree planting is still one of our most effective solutions. Things like reducing meat consumption is another valuable step you can take. But again, yeah, that'll vary a lot person to person. So one way I actually like to suggest thinking about things is, and this is something I've just been thinking a lot in the middle of this whole pandemic moment, is if what the choices I was making, if a million other people were to make that same decision, what impact would it have in the world? Because, it's easy to not feel like your actions make a whole lot of difference, but for better, positive or negative, if you start to imagine what the impact of something like composting could be multiplied by a million, it suddenly starts to feel very weighty. And then on the flip side of things, it makes um, having a lot of food waste, multiply that by a million, and that's something you don't want to do, and so it kind of puts it into perspective where you really want to start playing your part well.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And we definitely see that now because, the impact of just like one person going forward and taking way too much toilet paper is causing
Right.
way too much toilet paper.
Yeah.
Now nobody has any toilet paper. And one of the other things that we we were mentioning, like on one of the other episodes, is that like, there's other ways to like use like outdoor gear, things that you already have in your home, like,
Oh,
to use the restroom instead of,
yeah.
toilet paper. But another big thing that we mentioned was like using regular towels instead of paper towels for, like just like little steps, going forward, just one at a time to sort of make changes. And if other people do that and start making little changes, that's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Well, I'm a new mom. One of the interesting new mom hacks for people who are running low on toilet paper is sorry if this is TMI for your podcast, but when you're recovering from giving birth, you usually have like a peri bottle, like a squeeze bottle thing
Mhm.
you have to use to make sure you're clean in all your areas. And you can kind of use that as like a makeshift, what are those things called, the toilets with the water,
Bidet.
bidet, yeah,
Yes.
a makeshift bidet. So if you have like a little squirt bottle that's, with nothing in it. It's
Yeah.
really fun. Or like your ketchup bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. Save the toilet paper for number two, and then
There you go. There you go.
I
So,
actually I thought
mom hack.
I did think about that. Like, when I went to the Target the other day, I was like, oh man, there's like seriously no toilet paper. What am I going to do if like it happens? And I was like, you know what? A water bottle actually makes sense. And so that's actually really smart.
Yeah, especially for number one. That one's gonna be a easier fix.
Mhm.
Um, have you guys on your podcast ever talked about Who Gives a Crap, that company?
No.
Oh, ooh, we should give you our referral
Okay.
code. So for probably like a year and a half now, Philippe and I, we've been ordering our toilet paper online from a company called Who Gives a Crap. And all their toilet paper, they have more than just toilet paper, but that's like their star product. They have like paper towels, facial tissues. Everything is made out of recycled paper and or bamboo, so it's more sustainable. Yeah, and then when it arrives, there's no plastic packaging. Everything's cardboard.
I think the other benefit is, I think for every roll they sell, a portion or something goes towards, I don't know if I remember the cause exactly. It might be something like toilets or sanitation in the
Yeah, something
developing
like that.
community. So
That's really cool.
something kind of related to their product,
So you can always look online at Who Gives a Crap and see if they still have toilet paper in stock. We'll have to tell you our referral code. I can't even remember
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I haven't heard of that. That's actually really cool.
it. Yeah, we like it.
hmm
And then, since you mentioned the whole mom hack stuff, there
Mhm.
was there any like tips you had for like I know your baby's very tiny, so you have to worry about educating him as far as like school like setting goes. But like,
Mm.
how are you staying sane with
Oh, yeah. So I read, everything I'm going to reference right now. Well, not everything I'm going to reference, but a lot of what I'll reference is from Instagram. There's a lot of good resources out there. But
Mhm.
one of the mom sites I follow on there was saying something to the extent of like what the moms and dads of the world are being asked to do is totally unreasonable. Like either you're going to be like a full-time parent or you're going to be a full-time person in the workplace or you're going to be a part-time both, but you're not going to be, in that 8 hour chunk of the day or however many hours in the day somebody works, like you're not supposed to be doing both at the exact same time,
Yeah.
working and then parenting. But like I mean, right now we're staying with my parents and my parents are able to help us out with a lot of stuff, which is amazing. But before that, it was like hot potato with our 5-month-old Reese. We had to, like one of us got like a solid hour chunk of work and then we have to pass them off and back and forth.
Mhm.
Total honesty, it's been really stressful and tiring. I'm sure many other parents are going through that,
Yeah.
but I'm also really thankful that he was born when he was, which was well before this pandemic. Some people now have to be
Give
worried
birth during
about,
all this.
who's
Yeah.
allowed in the hospital with me, canceling baby showers. So, you know, it's stressful, but it could be worse for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that came to mind while you were talking about that was, yeah, it's totally true. Like, that's not something you do in a regular life in regular scenarios, both, handling your kid full time while doing your day job. There are, however, some, I don't really want someone to fact check this number, but like 300 million moms out there who work as subsistence farmers who strap their kids to their back and then start plowing the field. And that's, such a different world than we're at. And I
Mhm.
don't know if there's any practical lessons there other than just like solidarity. You're not alone. There is like there knowing that other people have walked down with. I don't know, sometimes I find that pretty encouraging, and so
Yeah.
yeah, just
Just knowing
realizing that
people just
that
like
happens.
buckled down and just did something because they had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like their only option. Here
Hmm.
we are in like first world America, like, how dare this virus make me do both? Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're like whole first century, for 21st century.
First century.
First class,
Whoa.
first class, first century country. I don't know where we are, what year it is, what's happening. Been quarantined for too long.
It's a time warp. When did I wake up? It's not where did I wake up.
But social media is a thing. Like, I'm talking to you guys, you're hundreds of miles away, and you
Mhm.
know that like I'm technically by myself with a cat. Like, I've been talking to like, probably I think I spoke to like 20 different people today. My sister like 5 different times on FaceTime. We just doing random nonsense. And like that's she made like a silly TikTok about it, like joking around, like FaceTime is the only thing that's keeping me sane. But that's kind of true right now. Like,
Yeah.
when you're trying not to like, go outside the door as much as possible, to help other people and like not get sick yourself, that's all you have is just to reach out. And I kind of wanted to see
Yeah.
you guys' like perspective on social media and whether or not that's benefited you. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can just talk about like from my profession, it's interesting being a mental health professional because so many people right now, as I can tell from social media, are are in agreement. Like, everybody's mental health is pretty poor right now. But then yet it's like they're not able to come out to see a therapist because everybody has to self quarantine. So one benefit for whether it's social media or video conferencing or whatever is the clinic I work for is able to do therapy with basically all video platforms. I haven't utilized all of them, but Zoom, and then we do Microsoft Teams. And to be honest, I've been surprised at how few of our clients are taking us up on that. Like, we've reached out to all of them,
Wow.
and I would say maybe only a third are interested in actually utilizing those resources. Probably just because it's new and maybe it feels less personal than talking to a therapist in person. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's kind of an odd place to be in where everybody knows everybody's mental health is a little messed up right now, like a little anxious, maybe a little depressed, isolated. And yet, not being able to actually provide the resources we need. That's been an interesting phenomenon to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'm really curious about is just how people's relationship with social media is likely to change, especially, and I'm thinking of Instagram in particular, because all of the stuff that people used to flex with on Instagram is like no longer doable.
I
It's like Multnomah
Yeah.
Falls is like, where'd everybody go? And so I'm curious as to like, as we go further into this, and you can always post old photos, I guess, but yeah, what stuff actually starts coming out when you can no longer just rely on like a pretty picture and a Gandhi quote or whatever, like people will actually
That's
either just have
literally
nothing
all
to
my
say.
content.
People will have nothing to say, or they're going to have to kind of start looking more within, I guess, which might not be such a bad thing. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. you kind of have to, I guess, get creative, not just with your, your social media, like, posts, but like with your usage. Like, it's not just going to be about just sending out content. You're going to like use it to like have actual conversations again. And that's something interesting to kind
Right.
of think about, and, during this time too. But
Right. Yeah. It's like going on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it might be. It's like, it fills the void of, your social interactions for a while. But then, like, you get to hour like 4 or 5 in the day and you're like, huh,
like,
perhaps I should talk to a person I know.
yeah. Was there any, I guess, tips overall that you, or anything you wanted to say to anybody listening right now, who may be like struggling with, either trying to become more eco-conscious and maybe depressed at the same time? Like, what,
Yeah.
what are first steps?
First steps for saving the world and your mental health. Perfect. From your own house.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, what do I say to somebody who wants to know where to get started or how to take steps towards a more sustainable life? I'm really big on kind of the crossroads of sustainability and spirituality, however, whatever that means to different people. But I think the big thing is understanding what your motivations are for wanting to do this, right? And I think it's really, really hard to sustainably be sustainable if you're just trying to not feel bad about yourself, if you're trying to not be guilty, or if you're just mad at the state of the world, like those things can be really powerful to move you into action, but it's hard to like keep doing something for years and years off of that. So instead, I kind of like to reframe it as thinking about what are you doing this for? What's your end game or your goal? One thing that I feel really fortunate about is my job has me in proximity with a lot of villages and communities in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America. Obviously, not right now, but typically. And I think I learned so much from those experiences. These are the communities who are the most affected by climate change. They're not. It's not like just this number projection for the world in 2050 or whatever. It's just like what they're already dealing with. It's the reason why they're not growing enough food for their families. And so when I'm thinking of why do I want to buy recycled toilet paper instead, why do I want to spend like a little bit more money to make sure my food is sourced well? It's because they very tangibly feel the effects that I don't. And they kind of are able to immediately benefit from me, even in a small way, taking some of the pressure off of the planet and off of the ecosystem while looking for other ways to support them and cheer them on. And so, yeah, for some people, it's going to be looking at their kids and wanting them to live in a better world than we get. For others, there's moral, religious, spiritual reasons for it. But finding your why, I guess, would be my starting point for moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And how to follow up after that. Ditto.
But that's for people who, may not have their own therapist, don't know what to do, and a pandemic has happened. Like, they're feeling a little bit more sadder than usual. Like, what can they do in the meantime?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd say there's a lot you can do. As a therapist, though, I think what I would want to say first is that, a lot of people are going through mental health issues. I think a lot of people are really quick to want maybe like a 1, 2, 3 step of overcoming this anxiety. And, I could kind of hand those out. Like, you could try this, you could try that. And I might even throw a few of them in here. But I think the first thing is just acknowledging that it's, even though you might feel isolated, it's interesting because you're actually very united in feeling isolated. There's so many others that kind of feel that way. And I would say as a therapist, like being able to connect with somebody, to be able to express those emotions, whether it is with somebody who's a professional or a friend, or, you know, getting on FaceTime with someone. There's also a lot of apps, you know, if somebody doesn't feel comfortable, you know, going into a clinic or starting therapy at a established clinic kind of place, you can go on to let me think of some sites off the top of my head. What was that one that Michael Phelps kept endorsing?
Talkspace?
Talkspace. There's
Oh.
Talkspace. Yeah. I mean, that's just one that I'm aware of off the top
Yeah.
of my head.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. Yeah. There's a lot of them out there where people can just like text with a therapist. You don't have to talk to a professional, but, you know, if that's more comfortable. And then I would say try and do something at least. I guess this kind of goes along with what with Philippe was saying. Is like per day, try and do something meaningful. And you know, it might be different from what would typically give you meaning. Like, let's say somebody, you know, being in a large group of people, in whatever capacity is like meaningful to them. Well, we can't really do that now. Maybe the version of that is FaceTime, or you know, somebody who's religiously inclined, like going to church or volunteering or something like that. Like, okay, so how else can you practice your religion that would bring you purpose, that might not necessarily be the same thing as before? Because I think it's easy to lose track of,
Yeah.
you know, why you're going through the days, the hours, the weeks, without taking moments throughout the day to say, yeah, I am proud of this moment, or I feel like I accomplished something in this moment, whether it was, you know, prayer, or you know, for some people maybe it's exercise, but it's just whatever in that day would make it a meaningful day, and trying to do that intentionally.
Huh. No, that's awesome advice.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
no,
thanks.
thank you so much for agreeing to chat about these things today. I don't know if I miss anything that you guys want to share or plug in. For sure, like Plants Without Purpose. I don't know if there's any way that people can help your nonprofit out or.
Yeah, for sure. So if you follow us on social media, we're at Plant W Purpose. But I think if you type in Plant with Purpose, you'll still find us. If you follow us on Instagram, we plant a tree for every new follower. So that's a fun thing you could do. And you can, yeah, once you hit follow, you'll be following along with what we're up to. And so you'll find more ways to support us from there and see where that's going, how planting trees in rural communities helps solve both global poverty and climate change.
Well, I was gonna say I would maybe try and plug where I work, but I don't think that would help anybody. I think that would just be a flex for myself. Just follow my personal account, Deanna.Lazaro, Instagram, and
And like all the pictures of our baby.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're really cute
guy
babies.
just turned 5 months.
Well, congratulations on your kid and being
Aw, thanks,
awesome
Jasmine. You got to
people.
meet him and hold him. He's
Yeah,
bigger now.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks again. And yeah, you
Cool.
guys have a good night.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the Jazz About Nature podcast. Check out the show notes for more information on any of the things talked about on the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.